Now to return to Tom and Becky's charm in the picnic, they tripped along the musky islets with the rest of the company, visiting the fabulous wonder of the cave. Wonders dubbed with water over the script names such as the drawing room, the cathedral, Aladdin's palace, and so on. Presently, the hide and seek from like it began, and Tom and Becky engaged in it with zeal until the exertion began to grow a trifle wearisome. Then they wandered down a sinuous avenue, holding their candles aloft and reading the tangled wetwork of names, dates, posts at office address, and mottos with which the rocky walls had been frescoed in candle smoke. Style drifting along and taking. They scarcely noticed that they were now in a part of the cave whose walls were not frescoed. They smoked their own names under an overhanging shelf and moved on. Presently, they came to a place where a little stream of water trickling over a ledge and carrying a limestone sediment with it had in the slow dragging age formed a lasset and woofled near in gleaming and imperishable stone. Tom squeezed his small body behind it in order to illuminate it for Becky's gratification. He found that it contained a sort of steep natural stairway which was enclosed between narrow walls and at once the invitation to be discovered seized him. Becky responded to his call, and there made a smoke mark for future guidance and started upon their quest. They wound this way and that, far down into the secret depths of the cave, made another mark. They branched off in search of novelties to tell the upper world about. In one place, they found a spacious cavern from whose ceiling depended a multitude of shining stalactites of the length and circumference of a man's leg. They walked all about it, wondering and admiring, and presently left it by one of the numerous passages that opened into it. This shortly brought them to a bewitching spring whose basin was encrusted with a frostwork of glittering crystals. It was in the midst of a cavern whose walls were supported by many fantastic pillars which had been formed by the joining of great stalactites and stalagmites together. The result of the ceaseless water trip of centuries. Under the vast knobs of bats had packed themselves together. Thousands in a bunch. The light disturbed the creatures, and they came flocking down the hundreds, squeaking and darting furiously at the candles. Tom knew their way and the danger of his sort of conduct. He seized Becky's hand and hurried her into the first corridor that offered, and known to so on for a bad strung Becky's like out with its wing while she was passing out of the cavern. The bats chased the children a good distance, but the fugitives clinged into every new passage that offered, and at last got rid of the various things. Tom found a subterranean lake shortly, which stretched its dim length away until its shape was lost in the shadow. He wanted to explore its border, but concluded that it would be best to sit down and rest a while first. Now, for the first time, the deep stillness of the place lay a calming hand upon the spirits of the children. Becky said, "Why? I did not notice, but it seems ever so long since I heard any of the others." Come to think, Becky, we are acquainted to love them, and I do not know how far away north or south or east or whichever it is. We could not hear them here. Becky Graham apprehensive. I wonder how long we be being down here, Tom. We better start back. Yes, I reckon we better. Perhaps we better. Can you find the way, Tom? It's all a mixed up crookedness to me. I reckon I could find it, but then the bats, if they put our candles out, it will be an awful fix. Let's try some other way, so as not to go through there. Well, but I hope we won't get lost. It would be so awful, and the gear shuddered at the thought of the dreadful possibilities. They start to walk a corridor and tripped in silence a long way, glancing at each new opening to see if there was anything familiar about the look of it, but they were all straight. Every time Tom made an examination, Becky would was his face for an encouraging sig, and he would say cheerily, "Oh, it's all right. This ain't the one, but we all come to it right away." But he felt less and less hopeful with each failure, and presently began to turn off into diverging avenues at sheer random in desperate hope of finding the one that was wanted. He still said it was alright, but there was such a latent threat at his heart that the words had lost their ring and sounded just as if he had said, "All is lost." Becky clung to his side in an anguish of fear, and tried hard to keep back the tears, but they would come. At last she said, "Oh, Tom, never mind the bats. Let's go back that way. We seem to get words and words of all the time. Listen, sighed he. Profound silence. Silence so deep that even their breathing were conspicuous in the house. Tom shouted. The car went showing down the empire isles and yet out in the distance in a faint sound that resembled a ripple of mocking laughter. Oh, don't do it again, Tom. It is too horrible, sighed Becky. It is horrid, but I better. Becky, take my hair us. You know. And he saw that again. The mic was even a chillier over than the ghostly laughter. It so confessed a perishing hope. The children stood still and listened, but there was no result. Tom turned upon the back track at once and hurried his steps. It was but a little while before a certain indecision in his manner revealed another fearful fact to Becky. He could not find his way back. Oh, Tom, you did not make any marks. Becky, I was such a fool. Such a fool. I never thought we may want to come back. No, I cannot find the way. It's all mixed up. Tom, Tom, we're lost. We are lost. We never can get out of this awful place. Oh, why did we ever leave the others? She sang to the crow and burst into such a frenzy of crying that Tom was appalled with the idea that she might die or lose her reason. He sat down by her and put his arms around her. She buried her face in his bosom. She clung to him. She poured out her terrors, her unavailing regret, and the far issues turned them all to jarring laughter. Tom begged her to look up hope again, and she said she could not. He fell to blaming and abusing himself for getting her into this miserable situation. This had a better effect. She said she would try to hope again. She would get up and follow wherever they might lead, if only he would not doubt like that anymore, for he was no more to blame than she said. So they moved on again, aimlessly, simply at random. All they go to was to move, keep moving. For a little while, Hope made a show of reviving, not with any reason to back it, but only because it is its nature to revive when the spring has not been taken out of it by age and familiarity with failure. But I Tom took Becky's candle and blew it out. His economy meant so much. Words were not net that Becky understood, and her hope died again. She knew that Tom had a whole candle and 3 or 4 plays in his pocket, yet he must economize. By and by, fatigue began to ascend its climb. The children tried to pay attention, for it was dreadful to think of sitting down when time was grown to be so precious. Moving in some directions, in any directions, was at last progress, and might bear fruit. But to sit down was to invite that at shorten its pursuit. At last, Becky's frail limbs refused to carry her farther. She sat down, vested with her, and they talked to home and the friend there, and the comfortable beds, and above all, the light. Becky cried, and Tom tried to think of some way of comforting her, but all his encouragements were crowded threadbare with use, and sounded like sarcasm. Fatigue bore so heavily upon Becky that she drowsed off to sleep. Tom was grateful. He sat looking into her drawn face and saw it glow, smooth and natural under the influence of pleasant drinks. And by, a smile drowned and rested there. The playful face reflected somewhat of place and held into his own spirit, and his throat wandered away to bygone times and dreamy memories, while he was deep in his musing. Becky woke up with a pleasant little laugh, but it was striking dead upon her lips, and a gloom flowed it. Oh, how cold I sleep! I wish I never had waked. No, no, I don't know, Tom. I don't look so. I won't say it again. I'm glad you slept, Becky. You'll feel rested. Now we'll find the way out. We can try, Tom. But I've seen such a beautiful country in my dream. I reckon we are going there. Maybe not. Maybe not. Shut up, Becky. And let's go on try. They
They rose up and wandered along, hand in hand and hopeless. They tried to estimate how long they had been in the cave, but all they knew was that it seemed days and weeks, and yet it was plain that this could not be, for the candles were not gone yet. A long time after this, they could not tell how long Tom said they blew softly and listened for dripping water. They must find a spring they found out while presently, and Tom said it was time to rest again. All were cruelly tired, and Maggie said she thought she could go a little farther. She was surprised to hear Tom say she could not understand it. They sat down and Tom fastened his candle to the wall in front of them. With some clay, Tom was still busy. Nothing was said for a time, then Becky burned the silence. Tom, I'm so hungry. Tom took something out of his pocket. Do you remember this? Said he. Becky almost smiled. Oh, that wedding cake, Tom. Yes, I wish it was big as a barrel, for this is all we got. I saved it for the picnic for us starting up. Tom, the one grown people don't was picnic with the cake. But did we all? She don't understand where it was mostly up. So he grown people with the cake will eat it or she don't understand where it was. Tom divided the cake and Becky ate without appetite. While Tom nibbled out his moiety, there was abundance of cold water to finish the feast with. By and by, Becky suggested that they move on again. Tom was silent a moment, then he said, Becky, can you really tell you something? Becky faced pale, but she thought she could. Well then, Becky, we will stay here. Where there's water to drink, that little piece of glass candle. Tell me. Becky gave lots of tears and wept. So did what he could to comfort her, but it without effect. And then Becky said, Tom, well, Becky, then this was a call for us. Well, yes, they will. Certainly they will. Yes, they will certainly will. Maybe you got the first down. Or while you're good, maybe they are home they are. When would they beat you, Tom? When they get back to the powder girl. Tom, it might be dark then. Would be noticed if we hadn't come? I don't know, but anyway, your mother won't beat you as they got home. A friendly look in Becky's face brought Tom to his senses, and he saw that he had a face with another. Becky was not to have gone home that night. The children became silent and shocked in a moment, and in bursts of grief from Becky showed Tom that the thing in his mind had strange hers also. That the sound ordered by the half bent before Miss Thatcher discovered that Becky was not at Miss Harper. The children fastened their eyes upon their bit of candle and watched Belle slowly and peacefully away. Saw the half featured weak stand alone at last. Saw the vivid flame rise and fall. Then a dim column of smoke, liquid and stabbed at a moment, and then the hour of utter darkness reigned. How long afterward it had Maggie came to the consciousness that she was carrying Tom's arms. Neither could tell. All that they knew was that after what seemed a mighty stretch of time, both awoke out of that stupor of sleep.
Resumed their miseries once more. Tom said it might be Sunday, now maybe Monday. He tried to get Becky to talk, but her sorrows were too oppressive. All her hopes were gone. Tom said that they must have been missed long ago, and no doubt the search was going on. He would shout and maybe someone would come. He tried it, but in the darkness, that distant echo sounded so hideously that he tried it no more. The hours wasted away, and hunger came to torment the captives again. A portion, a tongue half of the cake was left. They divided and ate it, but they seemed hungry than before. The poor morsel of food only whetted desire. By and by, Tom said, "Shh! Did you hear that?" But he breathed and listening. There was a sound like a faint far-off shout. Instantly, Thomas read it, and leading Becky by the hand started groping down the corridor in its direction. Presently he listened again. Again the sound was heard and apparently a little nearer. "It's them," said Tom. "They're coming. Come along, Becky. We're out right now." The joy of the prisoners was almost overwhelming. Their speed was slow, however, because pitfalls were somewhat common and had to be warded against. They shortly came to one and had to stop. It might be 3 feet deep, it might be 100. There was no passing it at any rate. Tom got down on his breast and reached as far down as he could. No bottom. They must stay, turn, and wait until the searchers came. They listened. Evidently, the distant shoutings were growing more distant. A moment or two more, and they had gone altogether. The heart-sinking misery of it. Tom whooped until he was hoarse, but it was of no use. He took a hope, hopefully to Becky, but an age of anxious waiting passed, and no sounds came again. The children groped their way back to the spring. The weary time dragged on. They slept again and awoke, famished and woe-stricken. Tom believed it must be Tuesday by this time. Now an idea struck him. There were some side passages near at hand. It would be better to explore some of these than bear the weight of the heavy tie in idleness. He took a kite line from his pocket, tied it to a projection, and he and Becky started, Tom in the lead and widening the line as he roped along. At the end of 20 steps, the corridor ended in a jumping off place. Tom got down off his knees and fell below, and then as far around the corner as he could reach it with his hands. Conventionally, he made an effort to stretch yet a little further to the right. At the moment, now 20 yards away, a human hand holding a candle appeared from behind a rock. Tom lifted up a glorious shout, and instantly that hand was followed by the body it belonged to in Jojo. Tom was paralyzed. He could not move. He was vastly gratified the next moment to see the Spaniard take to his heels and get himself out of sight. Tom wondered that Joe had not recognized his voice and come over and killed him for testifying in court, but that echoes must have disguised the voice without doubt. That was it. He reasoned. Tom fright weakened every muscle in his body. He said to himself that If he had strength enough to get back to spring, he would stay here, and nothing should tell him the room the risk of meeting Jojo again. He was careful to keep from Becky what it was he had seen. He told her he had only shouted for luck, but hunger and wretchedness rise superior to fears in the long run. Another tedious way to spring and another long sleep brought change. The children awoke tortured with a raging hunger. Tom believed that it must be Wednesday or Thursday or even Friday or Saturday now, and that the search had been given over. He proposed to explore another passage. He felt willing to risk in Yo-Yo and all other terrors, but Becky was very weak. She had sunk into a dreary apathy and would not be roused. She said she would wait. Now, where she wasn't die, it would not be long. She told Tom to go with the guideline and explore if he chose, but she implored him to come back every little while and speak to her, and she made him promise that when the awful time came, he would stay by her and hold her hand until all was over. Tom kissed her with a choking sensation in his throat and made a show of being confident of finding the searchers or an escape from the cave. Then the took.
Chapter 32. Tuesday afternoon came, and went to the Trilich, the village of St. Petersburg, still more night. The lost children had not been found. Public prayers had been offered up for them, and many a private prayer that had the petitioners who heard in it. But still no good news came from the cave. The majority of the searchers had given up the quest and gone back to their daily avocations, saying that it was plain the children could never be found. Mr. Thatcher was very ill, and a great part of the time delirious. People said it was heartbreaking to hear her call her child, and raise her head and listen a whole minute at a time, then lay it wearily down again with a moan. Aunt Polly had dropped into a sidled melancholy, and her white hair had grown almost white. The village went to its rest on Tuesday night, sad and forlorn. Away in the middle of the night, a wild bell burst from the village bells, and in a moment the streets were swarming with frantic, half-clad people who should turn out, turn out. They're found, they're found. Timpans and horns were added to the din. The population massed itself and moved toward the river, with the children coming in an open carriage drawn by shouting citizens. Throwing around it, joined its homeward march. and swept magnificently up the main street, roaring huzzah after huzzah. The village was illuminated. Nobody went to bed again. It was the greatest night the little town had ever seen. During the first half hour, a procession of villagers filed through that church house, seized the saved ones and kissed them. Stuart shook Mr. Thatcher's hand, tried to speak but couldn't, and drifted out, raining tears all over the place. Our Polly's happiness was complete, and Mr. Thatcher's nearly sure it would be complete, however, as soon as the messenger dispatched with the great news to the tribe should get the word to her husband. Tom lay upon a sofa with an air auditory about him and told the history of the wonderful adventure, putting in many striking additions to adorn it withal, and closed with a description of how he left Bickley and went on an exploring expedition, how he followed two avenues as far as his tight line would reach, how he followed adhere to the fullest stretch of the tight line, and was about to turn back when he winced a far off speed that looked like daylight, dropped the line and walked toward it, pushed his head and shoulders through a small hole, and saw the broad Mississippi rolling by. And if it had only happened to be night, he would not have seen that speed of daylight and would not have explored that passage any more. He thought how he went back for Vicky and brought the good news, and she told him not to feed her with such stuff, for she was tired and knew she was going to die, and wanted to. He described how he labored with her and convinced her, and how she almost did for joy when she had walked to where she actually saw the blue speed of daylight, how he pushed his way out at the hole and then helped her out, how they sat there and tried for gladness, how some men can alone in a cliff end. Tom highlighted them and told them their situation and their famished condition, how the men didn't believe the wild tale at first, because, said they, you are 5 miles down the river below the village the club is in, then took them aboard, went to a house, gave them supper, made them rest till 2 or 3 hours after dark, and then brought them home. Before they dawned, Judy, Dodger, and a handful of sisters with him were trotted out in the cab by the twin clans. They had soon behind them and informed of the great news. 3 days and nights of toil and hunger in the cab were not to be shaken off at once. Aston and Beckley soon discovered they were bedridden all of Wednesday and Tuesday, and seemed to grow more and more tired and worn all the time. Tom got about a little on Thursday, was downtown Friday, and nearly as full as ever Saturday. But Beatley did not leave her room until Sunday, and then she looked as if she had passed through a washing illness. Tom learned of Hood's sickness and went to see him on Friday, for could not be admitted to the bedroom. Neither could he on Saturday or Sunday. He was admitted daily after that, but was warned to keep still about his adventure and introduce no exciting topics. The widow Douglas stayed by to see that he obeyed. At home, Tom learned of the Candiff Hill event, also that the alleged man's body had eventually been found in the river near the ferry landing. He had been drowned while trying to escape, perhaps. About a fortnight after Tom's rescue from the tribe, he started off to visit Hood, who had grown plenty strong enough now to hear exciting talk, and Tom had some that would interest him. He thought who did that church house was on Tom's way, and he stopped to see Billy. The judge and some friends sat down to talking, and someone asked him ironically if he wouldn't like to go to the club again. Tom said he thought he wouldn't mean it. The judge said, "Well, there are others just like you, Tom. I've not the least doubt, but we have taken care of that. Nobody will get lost in the trap anymore." Why? Because I had its big door sealed with boiler iron 2 weeks ago, and triply locked, and I've got the case. Tom turned as white as a sheet. "What's the matter, boy? Here, run, somebody. Fetch a glass of water." The water was brought and thrown into Tom's face. "Ah, now you're all right. What was the matter with you, Tom?" "Oh, you the engine just in the tape." 33. Within a few minutes the news had spread, and a dozen slave loads of men were on their way to McDougall's Cape, and the ferry boat were filled with passengers. Soon followed Tom Sawyer was in the staff that bore Judge Thatcher. When the trap door was unlocked, a sorrowful sight presented itself in the dim twilight of the place. Injun Joy lay stretched upon the ground, dead, with his face close to the crack of the door, as if his longing eyes had been fixed to be latest moment upon the light and the shore of the free world outside. Tom was troubled, for he knew by his own experience how these ones had suffered. His pity was moved, but nevertheless he felt an astounding sense of relief and security now, which revealed to him in a degree which he had not fully appreciated before, how vast a weight of dread had been lying upon him since the day he lifted his voice against this bloody minded outcast. Injun Joyce, bowed empty, lay close by, its blade broken in two. The great foundation band of the door had been shifted and had it through with tedious labor, useless labor, too. It was, for the native had formed a seal outside it, and upon that stubborn material the youth had thrown no effect. The only damage done was to the nymph itself, but if there had been no stony obstruction there, the labor would have been useless still, for if the beam had been fully cut away in June, Joy could not have stretched his body under the door, and he knew it, so he had only hated that place in order to be doing something, in order to pass the
Very time in order to employ his tortured faculties. Ordinary one could find half a dozen bites of candle stuck around in the crevices of his vestibule left there by tourists. But there were none now. The prisoner had sachet them out and earned them. He had also contrived to catch a few bats, and there also he had eaten, leaving only their glands. The poor unfortunate had starved to death. In one place near at hand, a stalagmite had been slowly growing up from the ground for ages, builded by the water tree from a stalactite overhead. The captive had broken off the stalagmite, and upon the stone had placed a stone, wherein he had scooped a shallow hollow to catch the precious drop that fell once in every 3 minutes with the territory regularity of a clock tick. A desert spoonful once in 4 and 20 hours. The drop was falling when the pyramids were new. When Troy fell, when the foundations of Rome were laid, when Christ was crucified, when the conqueror created the British Empire, when Columbus sailed, when the massacre at Lexington was news. It is failing now. It will still be falling when all these things shall be sunk down the afternoon of history, and the twilight of tradition, and being shadowed with up in the thick night of oblivion, has everything a purpose and a mission. Did this drop fall patiently during 5,000 years to be ready for this fleeting human insect need? And has it another important objective accomplish the 1,000 years to come? No matter. It's many and many years since the happiness half-breed scooped out the stone to catch the brainless drafts. But to this day, the tourists stared longest at that pathetic stone and that slow dropping water when he comes to see the wonder of Douglas Cape. In Jude's Joe's Cup stands first in the list of the caverns marvel. Even Aladdin Place cannot rival it. Indian Joy was buried near the mouth of the cave, and people flocked there in boats and wagons from the towns and from all the farms and hamlets for 7 miles around. They brought their children and all sorts of provisions and confessed that they had had almost a satisfactory time at the funeral as they could have at the hand. The funeral stopped for further growth of one thing: the petition to the government for unjust Joe's pardon. The petition had been largely signed. Many tearful and eloquent meeting had been held, and a committee of sappy women being appointed to go in deep more in and well around the governor and implore him to be merciful as and trample his duty underfoot. The injunction was believed to have killed 5 citizens in the beach. But what of that? If he had been Satan himself, there would have been plenty of wetland ready to scribble their names to a pardon petitions and trip at their own it from their permanently impaired and leaky waterworks. In the morning after the funeral, Tom took Hung to a private place to have an important talk. Who had learned all about Tom's adventure from the Waltzman and the window Douglas. By this time, but Tom said he reckoned there was one thing they had not told him. That thing was that he wanted to talk about now. Hunt's face saddened. He said, I know what it is. You got into number two and never found anything but whiskey. Nobody told me it was you, but I just know that I must a pain you some has I heard about the whiskey business. And I know that for you had not got the money because you got at me some way or other and told me even if you was mum the everybody else. Tom sometimes always told me quit never get hold of that squad. Why, Hunk? I never told on that tavern keeper. You know his tavern was all right. The Sunday I went to the picnic. Don't know you remember. You was to watch there that night.
Oh yes, why it seems about a year ago. It was that very night that I followed in Jojo the Riders. You follow him? Yes, but you keep known. I reckon in Jojo's let friends behind him and I don't want showing on me and doing mean tricks. If it hadn't been for me, he'd be down in Texas now, alright. Then Huck told his entire adventure in confidence to Tom, who had only heard of the Welsman part of it before. Well, said Huck, presently coming back to the main question. However, nipped the whiskey in number two, nipped that money too. I reckon anyways it's a goner for us, Tom. Huck, that money wasn't ever in number two. Now, what? Huck searched his comrade's face keenly. Tom, have you got on the track of that money game? Huck, it's in the cave, Huck's Ace blazed, said again Tom. The money's in the cave, Tom honest in you now. Is it fun or earnest? Ernest Huck, just as earnest as ever I was in my life. Will you go in there with me and help get it out? I bet I will if it's where we can blaze our way to it and not get lost. How we can do that without the least little bit of trouble in the world. Good as well. What makes you think the money's? How you just wait till we get in there. If we don't find it, I'll agree to give you my drum and everything I've got in the world. I will be jinxed. Alright, it's a whiz. When do you say? Right now, if you say it, are you strong enough? Is it far in the cave? I've been on my pins a little, 3 or 4 days, no but I can't talk more than a mile. Some less I don't think I could. It's about 5 miles into there the way anybody but me would go. Huck, but there's a mighty shortcut today don't anybody but me know about. Huck, I'll take you right to it as in a skiff. You'll float the skiff down there, and I'll pull it back again. All by myself, you needn't ever turn your hand over. Let's start right off, Tom. Alright, we want some bread and meat and our pipes and a little bag or two and 2 or 3 high strings and some of these newfangled things they call Lucifer matches. I tell you the time I wished I had some when I wasn't there before. A trifle afternoon the boys borrowed a small gift from a citizen who, who was absent and go under what weighed downs when they were several miles below Cave Hollow. Tom said, now you see this bluff here looks all alike all the way down from the cave hollow. No houses, no woodyards, bushes all alike. But do you see that white place off yonder where there's been a landslide? Well, that's one of my marks. We'll get ashore now. They landed. Now, Huck, where are standing? You could touch that hole. I got off out of with a fishing pole. See if you can find it. Huck searched out the place about and found nothing. Tom probably marched into a thick clump of sumptuous bushes and said, here you are. Look at it, Huck. It's the nuggets hole in this country. You just keep mum about it. All along I've been waiting to be a robber, but I knew it good to have to think like this. And where to run across, it was the bother. We've got it now, and we'll keep it quiet. Only we'll let Joe Harper and Ben Rogers sing, because of course there's got to be a gang, or else there's won't be any style about it. Tom Sawyer's gang. It sounds splendid, don't it, Huck? Well, it just does. Tom and who are off, and most anybody waylay people. That's mostly the way and kill them.
Hello, that's always hidden with the gift the raise a ransom. What's a ransom? Well, you pay the ransom the cat of the race. And if you get it, you rest as you kill them. That's the drama. Only you don't kill the woman, you love the woman. When you kill them, they are beautiful and rich and often scared. You need the watches of things you always take care of your hair of a double light. They ain't anybody as polite as robbers. You see that in any book. When the moment got to loving you, and after the ability to give a week or 2 weeks, they stop crying and left that you couldn't get them to leave. If you drove them, they to ride around and come back. It's all in the books. Why is she read about it though? I believe the product of vampire. She's better in some ways because she's close to home as her cousin's author. By this time everything was ready and the boys entered the hall. Dug into it. They told their way of the farther end of the tunnel. They made their spice guide legs fast and move on. A few steps further to the spring, Tom felt a shadow quiver outshore him. She saw the fragment of a wing perched on lob of clay against the wall. That described how he and Becky had matched struggled and expired. The boy began to quiet down the whispers. Now the stillness and gloom of the place oppressed their spirit. They went on and presently entered a fallen stop on a corridor of the deserted open place. Others remained defiant. It was not really a precipice, but only a steep clay hidden at 80 feet high. Tom whispered, "Now watch you something, Hank." Well, he held aloft and said, "Look as far of the corner as you can. Do you see that there on the big rock over yonder?" Down with Callum spoke. Tom is so gross. Now where's your number two? Under the crows. Hey, right runners, when I saw in you, Joe poked his hand to Hank. Huck started at the meeting got a while and then said with a shaky voice, "Tom, let's get out of here." But a little treasure, yes, leave it. You of course she's from there, certainly. No, it ain't Huck, no, it ain't. It would have been the place where he died, away at the bottom of the cave. 5 miles from here. No time, it wouldn't. It would have brought him money, I know the ways of gold, and so do you. Tom began to fear that who was right, having other in his mind. But he presented an idea occurred to him. Luckily here, who was false here making themselves. You just go say they're going to go around where there's a cross. The point was well taken. It had its effect. How we didn't think of that, but that's so it's there for us. That cross is direct, but like that, and have gone for that box. Tom went first, got to a mustache, and they played here and he descended. They followed. 4 avenues opened on the small cover which the green round stood in. The boys examined readily with the results. They found that both Mercedes it also stood expressors of Bacon Ride, and the both had those of 2 or 3 folds. 3 folds, but there was nobody was, and after search his place was in vain. Tom said, "He is under the cross, but this computer is under the cross. It can be under the rock itself because that's the soul of the ground." They searched everywhere, once more, and they set out discouraged. Tom could suggest nothing, but Tom said, "Look here hung the footprints of cattle grease, on the clay about one side of this rock, but not on the other side. The one that for I bet its body is under the rock. They going to dig in the clay. That ain't the one that it does it with animation. The word Harlow was for the boys and he had up for inches before the storm who began to dig and spread words were soon covered. They had considered another chance. They tumbled into this and had his saddle as far under the rock as he could. But said he could not see the end of the reef. He proposed to explore his stupid path under the wrong way instead of parallel. He followed its winding course, first to the right, then to the left, pulled back at his heels, stopped toward a short curve. By and by, I exclaimed, "I got so lucky here."
It was the treasure box, sure enough, occupying a snug little cavern, along with an empty powder keg, a couple of guns in leather case, 2 or 3 pairs of old moccasins, a leather belt, and some other rubies well salted with the water trap. "Good it at last," said Hook, rowing among the tarnished coins with his hand. "My boots were right thumb. Hook, I always reckoned we'd get it. It's just too good to believe, but we have got it sure. Say, let's not fool around here." Let's snake it out. Let me see if I can lift the box. It weighed about 50 pounds. Tom could lift it after an outward fashion, but could not carry it conveniently. "I thought so," he said. They carried it like it was heavy that day at the haunted house. I noticed that. I reckon I was right to think of fetching the little bags alone. The money was soon in the bags, and the boys stood it up to the crossroads. "Not less fetch the guns and things," said Hood. "No, Hood leave them there. They're just the treats to have when we go to robbing." "Well, keep them there all the time, and we'll hold our heels there, too. It's an awful new place for orchids." "What orchids?" "I don't know, but robbers always have orchids, and of course we've got to have them, too. Come along, Hood. We've been in here a long time. It's getting late. I reckon I'm hungry too. We'll eat and smoke when we get to the cliff." They presently emerged into the clump of sumac bushes, looked warily out, found the coast clear, and were soon lunching and smoking in the cliff. As the sun dipped towards the horizon, they pushed out and got under way. Tom slipped off the shore through the long twilight, chatting shortly with Hood, and landed shortly after dark. "Now, Hood," said Tom, "we'll hide the money in the loft of the windows. Watch it, and I'll come up in the morning and we'll count it and divide it, and then we'll hunt up a place out in the woods for it where it will, he says. Just you lie quiet here and watch the stuff till I run and hoot." Benny Taylor slightly waggled. "I won't be gone a minute." He disappeared, and presently returned with the wagon, put the two small sacks into it, threw some of the lads on top of them, and started off, dragging his cargo behind him. When the boys reached the one man's house, they stopped to rest. Just as they were about to move on, the Welshman stepped out and said, "Hello, who's that?" "Hoods and Tom Sawyer." "Good, come along with me, boys. You are keeping everybody waiting. Here, hurry up, shoot ahead. I'll haul the wagon for you. Why, it's not as light as it might be. Good breath in it, or old metal." "Old metal?" said Tom. "Are you sure the boys in this town will take more trouble and fool away more time hunting up 6 bits worth of oil into to sell to the foundry than they would to make twice the money at regular work. But that's human nature. Hurry along, hurry along. The boys wanted to know what the hurry was about. Never mind, you'll see when we get to the widow Douglas, who said with some apprehension, for he was long used to being falsely accused. Mr. Jones, we haven't been done nothing. The Westman laughed. Well, I don't know, Hoot, my boy. I don't know about that, and you and the widow good friends. Yes, well, she's been good friends to me, anyway. Alright, then, what do you want to be afraid for? This question was not entirely answered in Hood's slow mind before he found himself pushed along with Tom into Mr. Douglas' drawing room. Mr. Jones left the wagon near the door and followed. The place was one lighted and everybody that was of any consequence in the village was there. The Dutchers were there, the Harpers, the Rogerses, and Polly, Sid, Mary, the minister, the editor, and a great many more, and all dressed in their best. The window received the boys as heartily as anyone could well receive two such lotting veins. They were covered with clay and kindly grace, and Polly blushed crimson with humiliation, and frowned and shook her head at Tom. Nobody suffered half as much as the two boys did. However, Mr. Jones said Tom wasn't at home yet, so I gave him up, but I stumbled on him and hooked right at my door, and so I just brought them along in a hurry. And you did just right, said the widow. Come with me, boys. She took them to a bedchamber and said, now watch and dress yourselves. Here are two new suits of clothes, shirts, suits, everything complete. Their hoods. No, no thanks. Hood, Mr. Jones. How one hand and the other, but their feet both of you. Get into them. Well, white. Come down when you are lighted up enough. Then she left.